The new Comanche stealth helicopter for the US might actually be an aircraft's nightmare. Now, the RAH-66 is a new stealth helicopter added to the US air tree in the last major update, and honestly, it's pretty impressive for its air-to-air capability. Now, when you think of air-to-air aboard helicopters, you probably, if you're, not new to War Thunder, think of the TY-90s on board the Z-19 and Z-10. And whereas these are still the best air-to-air missiles featured on board on any helicopter, the RAH-66 has a capability that the other helicopters don't have. And that is, well, obviously you have your stealth capability, which actually is fairly effective against enemy aircraft, especially if you're already staying very low. You have good top speed, and you have a great flight model, and you can carry up to 12 of the FIM-92, FIM-92 ATAS or Stinger air-to-air missiles. And yes, these are not necessarily the best missiles. If an enemy aircraft is aware of your presence, especially in a head-on, it will flare it fairly easily. You also do not get access to flares or chaff, but you do have a lower IR signature. So going back to actually talking about the Stinger, if you remain undetected and the enemy aircraft has no idea of your presence, you could actually be fairly effective. And if they get too close, you always have access to a 20mm rotary cannon that's very similar to that found on the Apache. Now, I will say, I definitely think this thing somewhat suffers just a little bit due to the lack of countermeasures. I think of it, it doesn't obviously have flares, but the lower IR signature, it does actually work for the most part. You obviously will, if they see you, be very open to being hit with a missile. It's not gonna save you every time. But if an aircraft is unaware of your presence, that's the whole premises of this strategy. And the RAH-66, the Comanche, does this very well. Obviously, you're a stealth platform. So if you can remain undetected from the radar and remain undetected from their eyes and use your top speed, good top speed to reposition, you will be able to actually be fairly effective. Most players, especially if a helicopter is focusing air-to-air, most players might not even be aware of your presence, especially if they can't see you on the radar. They have to either hear you or see you visually, and if you're doing your own thing off, away from the area of operations, there's a very good chance they just will never see you until your Stinger comes crashing in through their plane. And it's not like the Stinger is the worst air-to-air missile featured in War Thunder. It's not great, don't get me wrong. I'd much rather have TY-90s or IGLAs or literally almost any other air-to-air missile, but it actually is still fairly capable. Now, another thing that the AH-66, well, the RAH-66 Comanche has that I actually really like, especially if you're running it as a air-to-air platform, the complete stealth capability, but you can also run a ground capability. You can spawn in with rockets internally. And if you want to be non-stealthy, you can always feature 4 additional Stingers. So if you guys are looking to just carry the most weapons as possible, that's always an option. I do want to know what your guys' thoughts are on the Comanche. Do you guys think it's a good aircraft? Do you think it's actually going to be half decent for air-to-air? I think that, honestly, is a fairly good platform. I think depending on the playstyle that players have for it, it could actually work very well against enemy aircraft. You will definitely struggle against things once they know of your presence, but as long as you remain undetected, you should actually be pretty freaking good at what you need to do. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below in the comments. If you guys are not already subscribed, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing. Also, join the Discord linked down below in the description, and I hope to see you guys in a later video.